just jump into it, shall we? So, I'm never certain how I'm supposed to name decks when they have more than two champions in them, because I feel like writing Tryndamere, Anivia, Trundle is kind of a mouthful. I don't know that I hate the split of champions in this deck. Basically, all these champions are, especially Anivia and Tryndamere, are a little bit more on the expensive side and are situationally better or worse than the other in different situations. Anivia is much better against decks where you're looking to try and keep the board in check a little bit, and Tryndamere is better against decks that have decks where you need to like close the game out very quickly, because obviously he's an 8-4 with Overwhelm, which turns into a 9-9 with Overwhelm. The core of this deck's kind of neat, so we got a very high spell count, so we can enable things like Starlit Seer to pump up our various units in our deck, as well as Eye of the Dragon, which lets us generate Dragon Links to stall the game in the early bits to stabilize your life total. We also get to play Sentry, which I think Sentry's probably just one of the best mid-range 2-drops in this game. Just like a 2-1 for 2 that like draws a card when it dies, so like it gets to trade off profitably with something a lot of the time and then replaces itself afterward. It's nice. One thing that concerns me a little bit looking at this deck is wondering if we have enough card advantage or top end in the late game. So we've got a copy of Howling Abyss along with Tryndamere and Anivia as far as top end goes. We've got a few copies of Deep Meditation for hitting some card advantage. One kind of cheeky card in here that I'm skeptical of as well is Ritual of Renewals. This heals an ally or your Nexus by 7 and then draws a card. This effect at slow speed is kind of slow to be on the nose. I'm interested to see if this feels like it ends up being useful at all, or if 7 mana just ends up being too much for that effect. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this and see how it feels. Starlit, I agree with Starlit Seer. Starlit Seer is one of those cards that like always drastically overperforms for me when we play it. I feel like once there's like a tier one deck that's able to leverage that card, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Morning, Jeff. Entrenched Magic player. Wanted to say I recently jumped into Runeterra and I've been loving it, devouring your YouTube content at a breakneck pace. Hey, Foodie, thanks for the biddies. I really appreciate the support. Hope you're staying safe out there wherever you're at. And yeah, Runeterra is great. I think most card game players, if they give it a chance, will find they love it. I think I'm mulliganing Howling Abyss here against Twisted Swain. I think I'd rather keep Anivia as an interactive piece, or as a top-end piece. We'll keep these two as interactive pieces. Sometimes Twisted Swain can be a little bit on the aggressive side with 1-drops, and even if they're not an aggressive build, like Avalanche will trade 1-for-1 with Twisted Fate at some point. Perfect. Clean these up nicely at some point. It's gonna pass here, I think.
If I kill you, I know fortunes.
So this technically replaced itself, but still resetting the board is very useful here.
I'm always up for a round or two. Soak it in.
I was thinking I might want to just will whatever they play this turn, but willing the thing that drew them a card seems like not a great line.
Looks like trouble.
Man, not using my mana this turn feels really bad, but I don't really want to play any of these cards. Mary Pringles, thanks for keeping on with the tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. So, like, we're pretty far behind on board at this point, is the issue. I get to Concussive Palm this at least, so we don't take 6. Yeah, not having one of our 12 2-drops was rough. I guess we also have our 9 2-drops, or an Innkeeper would have also been ideal. Yeah, they're gonna level a Twisted Fate here. I think I gotta do this. Morning MKSF. Okay, no salvage is great here.
Never lost a fair game. Eyes open.
It's another pick card.
All or nothing.
Witness strength.
Do I just like take 11 here and then play Anivia? I think I need to get Anivia down, right? I guess I could will this and then play Anivia next turn. I don't hate that. I could will this plus Deep Meditation. That's probably the better line. I can attack with this the turn we play it, obviously. Hey Jeff, came to drop you Beza Bucks. I'm mostly a YouTube watcher, but try to get you online to resubscribe. Happy you're doing what's good for mental health with a break. Thanks for the 24-month Storm Coop. I really appreciate that. And remember, if my online schedule doesn't line up for you consistently, you can always you can drop off Prime stuff too while I'm offline too. And then if you do get a chance to pop in while I'm live, you can what's the word I'm searching for? You can still share the message when you catch me live. I think we're dead to the level Twisted Fate here. This is a card you basically just don't beat leveled, especially not a control deck like what we're playing. Double pick of cards real good. It'll depend on how many cards they can play here. So if they can play, so this plays a Destiny card every time they cast any other card. So if they can play 3 cards here with fast and burst cards, they can gold card my Anivia, which means I won't get to attack with it and get a trigger.
Blue as the serpentine.
I bring the storm.
I think I do this so they can't block with this, right? Yeah, we've only been live for about 15 minutes, 31:25. So the viewer count's a bit lower for Runeterra than it is for Magic, but usually we hit like 400 or 500 in the morning. Like if you haven't heard me talk about in the past too, like my current schedule that I'm doing is obviously what it is because of the pandemic and my kid's school situation, but like doing 2 shorter streams is also worse for average viewer count as well, because how Twitch works, basically the first like hour to something even hour and a half of your stream is like building up to your normal viewer count. You don't just go live and instantly have, you know, the your normal average viewers. I think I let this happen and then plan to just deny the gold card.
I will be reborn.
Artillery barrage! There'll be blood in the water!
And they call me a shark.
Yeah, the fact that our opponent's archetype has so many must answer cards, and like our archetype doesn't have like a lot of hard answers is tough. Like the Twisted Fate, this game's a pretty good example of why that's awkward and difficult for us. Like these are both cards we like need to be able to get rid of, and like our deck just doesn't have any hard removal or challenger units. It's not beating level Twisted Fate ever. The fact that not only could we not answer the level Twisted Fate there, but we also like just didn't have any plays in the early game, and we spent a bunch of turns passing, not using our mana, which meant we were very tempo negative. Opponent was like, the carrying over mana system in Runeterra makes up for some tempo loss in situations like that, but you can't just do nothing for so many turns and expect to not fall pretty far behind. Yeah, seems fine. Ricky, thanks for the 23 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And probably supposed to mulligan this in the aggro matchup. So, because Eye of the Dragon attunes, it's kind of like she only costs 1 mana. So I can play Eye here, and then I can still Catalyst on 3, which is nice.
Coming in hot! Got something for 'em?
Ready yourself.
And you can see our hand looking a touch awkward here. We don't have any spells in sight for our hand right now. And we have, you know, 3 cards now with this one in play that depend on wanting to play spells. Which doesn't feel great. Trundle's a great pickup. Good high quality unit. And next turn we can go triple 2-drop. We're gonna take another 7 inside of combat next turn. I guess I could attack. It's probably free, right? So we're taking 10 now on open attacks.
Who's gonna get in my way? They look angry.
And then, you know, once you Yeah, we're just in. This one might be a quick set. Might be a three deck day. How do you compare Trundle to someone like Garen? So, Trundle's a more flexible champion because the inclusion of the Ice Pillar and what the Ice Pillar does makes Trundle more of a mid-range card and a control card than just a straight beat stick / board presence card. So, like, Garen is very linear and narrow in the range of what he's able to... do. And, whereas Trundle allows you to keep the board in control, basically, which is a nice upside. Plug in the Troll Chant looking for a cheaper play. These two pieces of interaction seem good against Lee Sin. I'm going to keep Catalyst for 3. So far, this deck doesn't seem particularly good. Alright, turn 3 Catalyst, turn 4 Trundle's not bad.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists. Not all mean well.
That's a good point for Mary Pringles, too. The fact that Trundle has an extra point of toughness over Garen's a big deal, especially on a unit that has regeneration. That extra point of life is worth more than just 1, because it can come back again and again and again. I assume they're going to open attacks here and smack us for 4. Give this a permanent boost. Just do this, actually. It resets this, so it no longer has the buff from this. It means they don't get a Dragon Link next turn to block with. I agree in general. Iona's not a great control shard. At least not... Iona feels like it needs something to supplement it that's a good control pairing, and I'm not sure that Frel really does that. Both Frel and Iona feel like they kind of... Neither of those regions have, like, what I refer to as, like, hard removal or damage-based removal, really, other than, like, the occasional sweeper like this. And I think the lack of that is pretty detrimental in a lot of ways. This works out well. Like, there's a chance we want to just, like, actually play Icequake in our deck, since it's a sweeper. Okay.
And here's where I'd paint my constellation.
Hey, morning, Lucas.
Who would face me? Death itself can't stop me! One smack
Hey, morning, Lucas. You're staying safe out there. Morning, Vayne.
Extend your senses.
One smack will do. Hopefully, concussive palm here will be enough to not die next turn to this.
The dragon spirit awakens.
Could definitely die from 17 at least in combo deck.
Speak, I say.
Opponent has a gem up to 12, has this up to 16. So we're dead to a bastion.
I will not hold back.
Oh, that's true. They need bastion plus an overwhelm. Hey, do we have Deny or Bastion?
Conflict is all in the mind.
We didn't get take kill juice, so you know.
Something ancient stirs.
And again, like it's just a pretty unsatisfying gameplay. Just like very Magic-esque, right? It's like you're playing Go Fish. I think is just the best way to describe those types of games. And I'm glad those games are atypical in Runeterra as opposed to the norm. Like and by Go Fish, for people that haven't been in the stream before, what I mean by that is that's basically like, oh, do you have the Bastion? If not, Go Fish, I win. Oh, you have the Bastion, you win. Twisted Deep Target. Oh, Mogwai was streaming something like this, right? I think at any rate, we're keeping the sentries for early pressure and mulliganing these two. Having the strangest sense of deja vu, chat. The strangest sense of deja vu. I have Gross. Remy is really good. He makes a lot of quality parody stuff.
These old eyes still see far and clear. They're out there. I'll spot them. For the homestead.
Full homestead. Really? We're not trading for my 2-drop? When's the next scheduled balance patch? Wednesday.
Never lost a fair game or played one.
I think I'm okay with that, right? I'm pretty into drawing 2 cards.
Light the signal fires.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
No, I don't think making Lee just a weaker creature is a good change. I think making him easier to interact with would be the ideal change. Lukewarm takes. Games are better when they're interactive. Games are better when there's back and forth and counterplay.
How about another round?
They either need to change the barrier or change how he interacts with Overwhelm. I think one of either of those two things would be good. Either make him not the combo kill thing, or make there be more avenues of interaction with his combo kill. Those are the two appropriate directions, I think, to head in with that card.
The spirit of winter awakens.
Lady Luck is smiling.
I will endure.
Am I about to get triple Pale Cascaded? No, okay, so they just want to not have him die to the open attack trigger. That makes sense. He is real close to leveling up. Again, feeling the pressure of that. I just don't have real removal in my deck. I've got a bunch of Flash Freezes and Will of Ionas, but none of these actually solve the problem. They just kind of stall it.
Why are you here? Rend the skies.
I mean, if they don't salvage here, we're probably realistically bouncing the Twisted Fate. If this levels, I basically can't win the game. Oh no, I could have denied this. Crap. It's definitely a skill. Yeah, resetting Twisted Fate with Will of Iona doesn't do anything though. Like it like sits here and it spins my tires, but it's not a good play. It's not a play you're excited to make. It's not a play that ends up with you winning the game. It's a play that like delays the inevitable a little bit. That's a great pickup. Yeah, like he's gonna come into play and I get to draw another card now.
I'm always up for a round or two.
I could handle it if I didn't. I clicked the OK button.
Who has the serpent?
I clicked the OK button after realizing I could also deny the thing. This at least deals with Twisted Fate. These Flash Freezes might buy us enough time. The Flash Freezes might buy us enough time to let Howling Abyss take over this game. Maybe. Yeah, like there's Dauntless. It's gonna close out. Dauntless is gonna close out real quick. Doesn't actually do anything.
We each hold a world within.
Well,
Blooding guts, golden glory.
The sun is shining. We should too.
praise be to RN Jesus.
Tonight.
I probably should have waited on the, probably should have waited on the flash freeze. I don't want to beam before they attack, because this makes all their monsters cheaper, chat. So if I beam something here, they're gonna have a free roll to put another unit down on the board. Feel like I block with this because I want to play around Hush. Deluxe block is not free. My opponent has 6 mana and 6 cards in hand. This is not Hearthstone or Magic. This game's very interactive on average.
I deal in coins and carnage.
Beam cannot target your opponent's face. Excess damage hits your opponent's face, but you cannot target their face directly. Mogwai was playing something similar to what this opponent is playing. Twisted Fate always looks really good when your opponent can't kill it. So I think I need to save the Frostbite to heal her next turn, or stop her from dying. So I guess we start with this and see where we go.
King of Trolls coming through.
We're not out of this game yet, thanks to Lux. So, like, I get to put this here. I get to flash freeze this. I have 12 total mana. Flash freeze this, get a final spark. Will of Ionia this, go to 4. And then if they have a bastion for this, I can concussive palm it. Now I'm electing not to stun because I would like to play around Bastion, which they've already shown us they have a copy of. Are they dead? This is gonna put a Nautilus back into their deck, which probably means I should deny it, right? Because it means they deck out. You lose if you deck out, Runeterra. So anyways, I started blasting.
No more holding back!
I can't think of any game where decking doesn't lose. Epic card game, you win the game if your deck is empty and you go to draw. In Hearthstone, you take damage. Number of games where decking is not an auto loss. I think I start with Ice Pillar and see what they do.
These waters are mine.
Yeah, and like this is why it's hard to beat their deck, right? Like they are hard to deck them. They have Nautilus and can loop the Riptides.
It's Draven time.
Lux is at 0 right now. Yeah, so okay, so they're dead, right? So we let on Draven so they wouldn't see Lee Sin. Howling Abyss was really impressive.
Meaningless without skill. Now we're cooking. Conflict is all in the mind. I'll see this through.
Well, I mean,
All me. And maybe those other guys. Whatever.
maybe those other guys, whatever. All random, all mid, yeah. Yeah, I mean the landmark single-handedly won us that game, right? Like Lux let us take over, and then I kind of want another Howling Abyss. Ritual of Renewal's been real clunky and bad. I'm going to go down a Tryndamere, up a Trundle, because he's just a better mid-range champion. I'm going to keep this split here. I'm going to go up a Howling Abyss, though. That card was definitely the reason we won there. It's the best. It's like I think it's a better finisher than Tryndamere on average. Even randomly generated Katarina gets discarded. Yep, big mood. This is a viewer submission, Uncle Punkle, like most of the things we play. Just don't feel like playing against Lee Sin. Just gonna go to the next one. So that landmark generates any level 2 champion that's not in your deck or hand. So it always gives you something different. Deck hand or play, yeah. Always get something new and novel. You can always see upcoming decks by checking out their links in the deck queue. It's the same Lux Ash deck we played on stream in the past. Should add Cat to your deck so you don't have to draw it with Howling Abyss. I just don't think playing against Lee Sin is fun, which is why I concede to it.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
Big magic energy.
Let's get him, crew. In race.
Teemo's the worst bull. I mean, Teemo's even a 2-2 elusive for one. Like, that's still a good rate.
Ready yourself.
Gain 2, eat your 2-1. Take 3 here is not bad.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'll probably throw the magic stuff in its own different spreadsheet at some point. I just wanted to keep track of the people who had submissions in, so that way, if we go back to magic at some point, if the people that submitted those want to swap them for something else, I have a log of it. Things we didn't get to play. I offered them refunds, but a number of people didn't take me up on that.
Fortune favors the bold.
If magic manages to go, I don't know, let's pick a number. Let's say a cycle and a half without making their standard format a flaming dumpster fire, we'll probably give it something of a chance again. But I'd prefer for them to show that they can have reasonable gameplay. Yeah, it's just, and I appreciate the people that said that's fine, it's not a big deal. Philly, it's just the right thing to do, right? Yeah, I think we play Palm proactively for a blocker. Our play 2 spells per turn cards have been looking real awkward so far in these games. We definitely don't have a high density of cheap, repeatable spells to trigger things like Dragon's Eye, like some decks do.
You cannot win.
Yeah, Blender Bottle, I honestly don't ever really envision myself even ever playing Historic again, probably. Because, like, all of Magic's non-rotating... All of Magic's competitive non-rotating formats basically all turn into gameplay I really don't like. They all turn into a bunch of linear decks that aren't particularly interactive in a way that I just don't enjoy. I think we're just doing this. They're gonna play a Gangplank and just kill us. This card looking wildly unplayable yet again.
Blessed by snow and stars.
He does not add spores when he's leveled, Logan. That's why he's an awkward pull from the landmark. Three simultaneous lightning strikes have connected with Trump Hotel in Chicago at 2:14 a.m. on Thursday. That's wild.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
I'll spot him.
Never stop shooting.
Light the signal fires.
Are there any units that create cheap spells? River Shapers draws. Oh, this does draw specifically spells. That's true. I mean, like generate spells. Like, are there any ways? Like, I guess it's kind of like I'm gonna cut this ritual renewal. I guess like concussive palm is kind of a unit that is a spell as well, right? Just like enabling eye has not felt easy. We're not playing target. I don't know. Let's try one more. Our deck feels very disjointed. Like we're playing cards that kind of need synergies to be live. Right-wing populists tend to have better messaging because they lie, and it's easier to just deny climate change or call brown people thugs than talking about the complexities even real scientists sometimes struggle to comprehend. That's exactly correct. When you make stuff up, it's very easy to try and communicate clearly because you don't have pesky things like facts getting in the way. Like a good example of that, like messaging where there's like a type of messaging like that. Part of the Amy Coney Barrett messaging about how she knows what's right is they made a big deal about her not having to use any notes during a hearing, and like as someone who's been a teacher and who like has higher education underneath him, the idea that having reference material makes you less truthful or less accurate is so just like so fundamentally wrong. It makes me physically angry to think about that being something that the GOP attacked. Like the idea that if you're right, you don't need reference materials is just, it's such nonsense. What's going on, MLAO? Good morning.
They taste purple. Yay. They're out there. I'll spot them.
It's a spelling bee, yeah. And I mean, I guess definitely part of that is, you know, there's a reason why Republicans have been fighting a war on education for a long time, right?
Blessed by snow and stars.
I'm gonna deny this. I guess they might have stuff like Ruination that I want to deny more. Killing this seems valuable, though. And if I'm not denying this turn, I might as well be deep meditating. I guess I don't really care if this happens. I'm just gonna deep meditate in response to get the trigger. And then I'll let this get stunned. It's not even dying, right? Yeah.
This will be a good auspicious season.
Oh, like the deep meditation forcing the timing on my mana efficiency feels bad. Like, burning their mana is somewhat appealing. We have to burn their mana anyways. Alright, deal. So they have 9 mana total here. If they ruinate after I play Anivia, that's kind of okay for me, though. So I think I'm going to go ahead and drop her.
We'll bring peace to Ionia, whatever the cost.
Again, feeling some of that awkward pressure that we've been experiencing in this deck, where this is a card that's really a must-answer card, but my regions don't have ways to actually... My regions don't have ways to actually remove this from the board. I just have temporary solutions to this very permanent problem.
This will be a good winter. An auspicious season. Nothing escapes my watch.
We're two turns off of... 2 turns off of Anivia leveling up.
Blessed by snow and stars. These old eyes still see far and clear. Light the signal fires.
We're not Target, Rothenweiler. I know the colors are kind of similar. There's 8 regions now, but again, please pay attention to what we're actually playing.
Leave your bags in the door.
Purple is a mix of blue and pink, kind of, right? I think I'm just burning their mana.
The Freljord's eternal guardian!
Do I want to just Abyss here? I could be right to just bounce Karma as well, though. I feel like I need to... I might have another whale. I have a deny for a whale. They need, like, double vial fees.
Off we go. Fly away while you can.
I've carved meat bigger than you. Look out for reavers.
freeing up some spots on my board here is valuable. They could have a third Vile Feast. They're 13 cards into their deck. Black Spear, yep.
An auspicious season.
Notify doesn't feel like it answers any of the problems I've been having in Innuendo. Yeah, that's what Scarl there just described has been the fundamental problem with what our deck's been doing. Like, Ionia are just like, you're just not a good control region. Like, must answer cards like Karma and... Yeah, Anivia doesn't win this game, though, Innuendo. The problem isn't keeping my threat alive. Like, Howling Abyss here was gonna make me endless threats. The problem is that, like, my opponent has must-answer threats that I just can't get rid of. So you're right, like, my Anivia just died, but, like, my Anivia wasn't going to win me this game. Start with this and see what they do. I mean, Notify can be an okay control supplement, an okay tool that control wants on occasion. It's just, again, it doesn't feel like it's addressing the thing that's causing me to lose games, which is that, like, my opponents have things like this in play that I just can't take off the table. I mean, I think Ionia can be okay in a control deck as a supplemental region. But, like, both Freljord and... Both Freljord and Ionia feel like they're best as supporting regions in a control deck. And, like, we have two supports together and no main, basically. I feel like you need, like, Demacia or Shadow Isles, or so you need like challenger units or hard removal, basically. You need ways to actually take things, answer problems permanently. Sure. No. Well, them's the beats. Well, poo.
Do not question our resolve.
What will you have?
Lilies? Where are you?
Where are you? Howling Abyss might take over the game again. Howling Abyss going unanswered might just give us the threats we need to punch through what they have going on. Okay. Much better.
Leave your bags in the door.
Each hold a world within.
I mean, drawing a level 2 champion every turn is pretty good. That's good. This could easily drag us kicking and screaming across the finish line.
found home.
Clear beyond. Take heart.
Brahms not very good though.
Return to us. Push back the darkness.
Compassion, not anger, drives us to war.
Okay, so they're gonna get to generate a bunch of random spells. Well, we're not triggering her alt text, chat.
Vermin. Show me your best. Come from the dark.
Random spells versus random champions. RNGesus take the wheel. So opponent's deck is an older deck called Eternal Karma, and Karma's champion spell makes you a bunch of random spells and also puts Karmas into your deck. So like my opponent's deck now has like 6 copies of Karma in it. Is the idea. Their deck's just looking to grind people into the dirt or deck them out, even. And hopefully Howling Abyss can drag us through. Honestly, it might not be unreasonable to play a second Howling Abyss here. Double, thank you for the 33 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around.
Don't get in my way. It is easy, see?
I don't know if playing the second Howling Abyss was the right play, but it's definitely the fun play. So like again, each of these put Karmas into my opponent's deck, so like their deck has a ton of Karmas in it. We'd have cast Concussive Palm into Avalanche into Lucian. Would that have done it? Maybe?
Ours is the will of Ionia.
King of Trolls coming through.
We're gonna have pretty decent open attacks next turn, huh? What happens when you have one of every champion? I assume it just doesn't do anything.
Why don't you? I have the best job.
Do we bounce Karma here? No.
Damn soon.
Okay, so pretty sure we do this so we can generate 2 champions next turn. If I don't play, should I play the other spinning axe so I can draw a card for the turn? I probably want to play the other spinning axe so I can draw a card for the turn, right? Yeah, Jinx isn't really castable. She's never gonna rock it, and I don't want to draw extra. I don't want to draw extra cards.
Bow to your king. Ha! This is fun, yes? This is gonna be fun.
Maokai does unfortunately only mill when he levels up. I'm gonna end up with an attack token here, right? Because of him.
Get ready for a beatdown.
Ha! I can't believe we won this game. This card is a hoot.
I smell a fight. Live to fight.
Alright, I mean, we were worried about Karma not being able to kill Karma. Turns out we just won through it.
All me. And maybe those other guys. What?
Maybe those other guys. Listen, Draven, you had a lot of help, sir. You had a lot of help, sir. I don't know if this deck's good, but it's been fun at least. Howling Mind's a sweet card. Howling Abyss. Heimer Vi. Long time no see, friendo. I kind of think I'm keeping all these. If they don't have exactly Heimer, the game's gonna go long, and having this as the game goes long is great.
We see through all.
These springs are for healing, not swimming.
The spirit gives to those who listen.
Out of the springs.
Heimer Vi, German America.
Sunlight guide you, my brethren.
Vi stands for violence.
We just bounce her back? I think so. I think that's true at all, Shara. Like, honestly, I think this card gets worse in best of 3 because in a best of 3 format, basically everyone would have access to a bunch of landmark removal post board. And like, by the time you get to 7 mana, your opponent's seen a significant portion of their deck and likely is going to have drawn a way to interact with it.
The light of my star warms the heavens.
Smashing!
And typically speaking, in formats where sideboarding's a thing, aggressive decks don't usually get more aggressive post-board. Usually the opposite happens. Usually aggressive decks pull up and become more interactive post-board. Is the average / expected, I think. That is in fact how control matches tend to work in formats with sideboards, yes. There are must-answer threats and things that answer them. That being said, when, like, your must-answer threat costs 7, the odds of your opponent having an answer to it are incredibly high.
Nothing's tougher than a troll.
Not super worried about his turrets to start, because we do have this avalanche here. Definitely gonna start with leveling Trundle here, and then Elise is actually a great pull, because she can Challenger Heimer and kill him. I believe Ruben said the next 20 card drop is going to include a landmark removal for every region, and I would be surprised if it didn't include a landmark itself for every region as well. Soldier Sui, thank you for the 33 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, this deny is huge.
Kindly keep your hands off my work.
Bow to your king.
Oh,
Nothing escapes my watch.
jeez. It's been a while since I've done that.
Smashing! Get ready for a beatdown.
Back, heretic.
Oh, that's right. We're gonna get KDA spells too, right?
Light the signal fires.
Are there five KDA spells? Is that how many we're getting? I forget the exact number.
I'm doing this my way.
You can see the Demacian border from here.
Who do you want to smite with Vi? Wonder if they'll kill the ice pillar here to level her up and prevent her from getting vulnerable. That's unfortunate. Avalanche puts Brian into brittle steel range. That's a good observation. Okay, yeah, I'm into that. Especially with them Mystic Shotting Elise. No, Yu-Gi-Oh! That landmark's not,
There's nothing a good giggle can't fix.
What is gained from destroying the weapon?
Mix makes perfect.
Bow to your king. One smack'll do.
you could just click OK here. I think I'm okay with her leveling up. Am I? Yeah, she's gonna level next turn anyways, right? So they just let it happen. Yeah, I think I'd rather frostbite when they attack than frostbite on this block here. Is basically the TLDR.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
I guess that's maybe a bad play, because it's not gonna make a Dracula out of space. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Hot shit. Eat this.
Pairs well with Pix's free spell also. If they have a Pale Cascade to give this power, it deals an extra 5 to me. They have Vault Breaker, sure. So long as she strikes, she gets to hit my Nexus for 5, which is a big deal.
I thought you'd never ask.
Vroom, vroom.
And then Pillar will make her vulnerable. And then Help Picks will make this vulnerable. We'll hook these. We'll have a good open attack here. Vlad was the MVP. We did generate Vlad and then immediately win the game. So, like, you know, seems potentially very good. We found the competitive Vlad deck. All right, so takeaways from this. The Ionia cards really just don't feel like they do a lot, I think is the big conclusion from this. My big takeaway from playing this is that Howling Abyss is a really sweet piece of top end that's very difficult for people to overcome. Thanks for that 30 months, AGH. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Just again, as a transparency, clarity's sake, I'm not going back to Magic in the short term, so if you're just looking for Magic stuff, I understand if you drop support or support other channels, you should definitely support the content that you watch, but I'm planning to hang out and do other things for the next little bit at least. 2020's been a heck of a year, and focusing on games that are more fun is definitely what I would like to do. What goes bigger, ASOL or Howling Abyss? It's a good question. So, ASOL's obviously more mana initially, but the fact that he impacts the board the turn you play him is a pretty big upside. The issue with this, again, I feel like if I wanted to explore other Howling Abyss decks, I would want to pair Freljord with a better, more controlling region. Eye of the Dragon and Deep Meditation were both cards that were just kind of consistently hard to enable. We just don't have a ton of cheap spells here. I feel like I want some cheap either damage-based removal or things with Challenger to pair with Freljord. So, you know, either Shadow Isles, Piltover, heck, even Targon or Bilgewater, just like Ionia explicitly. I feel like Ionia and Targon specifically are regions that struggle to have really good interactive pieces, and all three of these regions pair well, I think, with these other five, but these other five are the ones that have ways to more directly permanently interact with things, and I think if you want to be more mid-range or controlling with Targon, Freljord, or Ionia, you really want to pair it with one of these other five regions, so that way you can have abilities to take things off the board permanently. Speaking of Freljord, paired with quality interaction, we're going to shift gears for the rest of the stream today. We're going to play some Lux Ash Control here up next.